Was the exclusion of 27 plus members of that political formation who called themselves G27 plus. They were excluded using Article 8.2 of the party's constitution. Stay with us. I'll be right back after this short jingle break. Chi Sidoine, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me in this edition of the agenda. We are glad you honored our invitation to be part of this edition of the program. Maybe you begin by telling televiewers who are watching us at this time your name and maybe some things they need to know about you before we dive into our topic for today.
Well, good evening, Mr. Lasha. Thank you too for having me for the first time. I'm so happy to be on the program. The agenda, probably we're going to set a very important agenda for the people of Cameroon here today, coming from my humble self. I want to greet our televiewers. I greet the great family of the SDF. I continue acknowledging all the efforts of the founding fathers, which I am eternally grateful to. I want to celebrate the 6 who died in 1990, and I'm calling on them wherever they are, where they are at this moment, to continue empowering those that are still alive to continue the struggle for which they died. I want to use this opportunity to greet the Mamite Kumbangs, the vanguards, and all the militants from the nook and crannies who are still convinced about the SDF, and to tell the young people who, for one reason or the other, think that maybe something is going wrong. It is legitimate to think so, and the SDF is taking a full measure of the weight and responsibility on her shoulders towards the people of Cameroon, and will be doing everything to make sure that we meet their aspirations. Having said that, I am just a humble and convinced militant of the SDF who started militating in the SDF even before the legal age, a de facto kind of militancy, because I was there right from my childhood. Now, later on, I militated, became Secretary for Political Education and Training in the Mother District of the SDF, that is Bamenda 2. I later on went over to the West Region, where I became Socialist Youth Coordinator in Chang, that is in the Menua Division, and then came over to the center, where I have served the party as Assistant Regional Secretary for Communication and a member of the National Communication Secretariat. I think for now, with respect to my political activities, and of course with other assignments I've carried out, that is just what the televiewers can retain for now.
With what is happening today within the political formation, can one still say that SDF still remains the SDF of yesteryears?
Well, Mr. Lasha, you know, some people used to say, have been saying that the SDF is dead. But I think that as a keen observer, when you see what is happening in the SDF today, it's eloquent testimony to tell you that the SDF is very much alive, because they cannot, all what is happening today cannot just be happening because of a dead body. What is also happening today is also because Cameroonians who have lost hope in the present regime see the SDF as their only source of hope. It is but legitimate that they feel worried about the listing that happens to the SDF. Is but legitimate that they criticize, even though some of them do exercise their bounds, go over their bounds, but we understand their grievances. We're taking them into consideration. Now, looking at the SDF as a great party, the turbulence that is going in, the shaking and all that, you know, each time you want to give birth, the child cannot come out without labor, and labor is not having the same intensity for all mothers. The SDF is in a period of labor, and like I have said before, each time there is a major transition within a very important political institution, be it a country or a political association like the SDF, expect a lot of, you know, some kind of interactions that sometimes some may even get to a certain measure which you least expected, but we always expect those interactions, that turbulence, that shaking, within that institution. I gave an example some time ago that when there was about to be a transition in this country in 1982, there was a political coup which consisted in replacing Ahijo with Paul Biya. Secondly, there was a military coup. In the SDF, Cameroonians will know that we are that only political party of the 1990 generations that we have had another presidential candidate different from the founding father, the national chairman. That was the beginning of a major transition. Now, the national chairman is about to step down as national chairman. There is another major transition that is preparing itself. So it's but normal that you have this turbulence. And we have already succeeded to go through a political coup. I have explained that when you find that your Secretary General convenes a meeting and joins others not to come to that meeting, that is a political coup, and the SDF has survived that coup. So we just have to reassure Cameroonians that
let me ask, is there any article in your constitution which says members should not, have meetings in the interest of the political party?
No, the SDF has the one of the best, if not the best, political party constitution in this country. We do not stop people from sitting and
because
discussing.
You just cited the case of the Secretary General that convened a meeting.
We do not stop people from sitting and discussing, Mr. Lasha, but it is in the constitution of the party that you should not deliberately absent from a duly convened meeting. But I was talking on a political tone.
Yes.
To say that if you have your Secretary General, which you have appointed, and you ask the Secretary General convene a meeting, the Secretary General convenes a meeting and does not come, it's a political coup. I'm not making any fixation on him. I'm just trying to make people understand that there is the turbulence that is there is similar to a coup, and we can qualify it as a political coup. And that I understand that it is a characteristic of major transitions within important political parties like the SDF and important institutions. We have taken note that that coup has been made. Now we will also look into the way we manage the after coup period. What do we do from here to make sure that we meet the aspirations of Cameroonians? That is what is should be the interest of the SDF now, and I think that the leadership of the party and the institutions are taking care of that.
Is the national chairman, your national chairman, a saint? Why do I say so? I ask you this question because it is always, people always see him as being right. I mean, those that are so attached to him. Is the national chairman a saint? I'm also saying so in connection to the fact that your party has been sucking all the brains from time immemorial. We are talking about Professor Siga Asanga, Professor Asongwanyi, Tamanjong, Barrister Ben Muna, and the recent G27 Plus being sacked. Is the chairman always right?
The national chairman is not a saint, and when you make fixation on the national chairman, let it be clear, it's not the chairman that is sacking somebody. They are the legal institutions of the SDF.
Because this group, they indexed the chairman and his first vice national chairman, that they are using the party structures or institutions to, for their selfish interests, over their gains.
Beyond that statement, Mr. Lasha, what have you heard again from this group? You are a journalist. Beyond that statement, it is easy for me to say that Mr. Lasha is a killer. But beyond saying that Mr. Lasha is a killer, what next? I need to prove. Not so?
Yeah, of course.
So, and it's very dangerous to make such statements when you don't have proof of it. It's but legitimate. You were talking about the national chairman being a saint. I want to clarify it. The national chairman is not a saint. He is not a perfect person. But the problem is, as a political party, it's not our sainthood or our unholy nature or whatsoever that is putting us together, but it is the text of the party. The national chairman is doing what he does as the national chairman of the SDF, duly elected at the convention, following the constitution of the party. Now, if you do not agree with what an act that the national chairman has posed, if you do not agree with an act that the NEC, the National Executive Committee, has posed, you just have to follow the rules of the party to appeal that decision. What Cameroonians must note is that there are several provisions for appeal when you are not comfortable with a decision within the SDF. And when you come in, according to section 7.2 sub B, you agree that you will respect that constitution, you will respect all directives given, you will respect all resolutions, and including the fact that if you are not in accordance with whatever is said, you have to exhaust all means of appeal right up to the convention to make your case heard. As we are talking today, there has been no convention. As we are talking today, legal structures have taken their decision, and people cannot come and tell you that such decisions are illegal, because those decisions are legal until proven otherwise, because those decisions were taken by the competent institutions. Those decisions were taken by people who are serving within the party, acting in the name of the party. So if you want to contest them and prove their illegality, use the instruments of the party, prove their illegality, as long as you are a militant. That is what the SDF is, and that is what every militant of the SDF who is in the party now agreed to respect. It has been respected in the past. I want to use this opportunity to talk, when you talk about brains, I respect a lot the contribution of most of these former comrades. I respect their contribution, but you shouldn't make nonsense of the contribution of others. Those in the SDF now, there are also brains in the SDF, and like I told you, when you talk about brains, I have my own notion of brains. I so much appreciate the work of the brains of the Mamite Kumbangs. I so much appreciate the work that the brains who are in the vanguards are doing. And I am not too comfortable with this elitist nature where everything seems up there. SDF is power to the people. It is the people's party, and everybody is important, but they must respect the text and don't make fixation on the chairman. The chairman has not sacked anybody. In fact, nobody was even sacked. The National Executive Committee only noticed that some people have sacked themselves. I keep making that clarification.
But the people
nobody has been sacked.
The people did not say they don't want to be part of the party. They are still insisting that they are part of the political party.
No, section 8.2 says that by certain acts which you commit, you prove that you are no longer part of the party. And it's very simple. I don't want to get to the details of the constitution, because if I get to the details of the constitution,
the SDF constitution also makes it clear that you cannot sack a member without notifying him, or the member attending a disciplinary meeting.
Mr. Lasha, we have not sacked anybody. The SDF has not sacked anybody. The SDF has simply noticed through section 8.2 that some people have sacked themselves, that some people are no longer with us. It's like you have somebody with whom you have always been at home, as somebody who is living with you in the house. After some time, the person shows you clearly that he is not more with you. You only take note that that person is not more with you. The issue of
and then now when you took note and the person is saying that he is still with you, what do you do in that case?
Taking note, the difference when you are still with me, you are not saying it. To be with me is in action. It's in what you do. It's in respecting our engagement of being together. And part of that engagement of being together, like you said, like I told you, the national chairman is not a saint. Nobody is a saint in the SDF. Part of the engagement of being together is that if at any point in time you are disgruntled and you think that you cannot just follow the line that has been traced, go through the regular methods of appeal of the party and follow them until you exhaust them. Section 7.2 sub B.
They have exhausted all the means.
They have not exhausted is a blatant lie, and that is what people should not do. The last avenue for appeal is the convention. Even at the level of the NEC, they did not submit their appeal the right way. But the NEC still decided to hear it. The national chairman, on an individual basis, has tried, made efforts to meet these people. But at one point in time, things they refused to come for the meeting. At some time, I thought that maybe because they have tabled some grievances, the party should just stop functioning, finish with their grievances before the party functions. Because you cannot imagine that the NEC meeting before last, the national chairman had to meet these people, but some of them said that because Section 18.8 was further applied on regions, they don't see the need of coming to this meeting. The fact that you have table grievances doesn't mean that the party will come to a halt and wait until they settle your grievances. Continue with your case. The national chairman was to meet them the next day. They did not come. That was a sign of political maturity of a father who loves his children, irrespective of the fact that they too should also know that even the national chairman may also have things against them that he doesn't like. But irrespective of that, he still says, okay, and you people have not even respected the form. The national chairman was doing that when the legal team had not yet given their report, because when the complaint came, the next said they should hand it to the legal advisors of the party. The legal team had not yet completed their work, but the national chairman, being a politician and a father, said, no, I will receive these people. But they refused. They refused to be received. Who is to be blamed in all this? You know, even when you have a good case, like I've repeatedly said,
they said
when
they
you have
are
a good
just
case,
internal.
you will not go and commit suicide because you have a good case. We may want to argue on the facts that you have put on table. Unfortunately, when you will be no more, because you decided to go and commit suicide simply because you claim you have a good case. The rules of the party are there. Those rules have been applied on others in the presence of these people who are talking. Today, it should not be something extraordinary, and if we have to change those rules, they should respect the convention and know that the convention is the right institution to change those rules.
What is their fate now? What
Pardon?
is their fate? They are you guys are in court. What is the fate of the 27 members?
No, when you are asking me what is the fate of the 27 members, I think you should
ask. Are they still members of the party?
No,
now? Because you
said they are not members.
You said NEC only took note of the fact that these people
are no more
members of the party. What is the party saying? That if they come back, the party will receive them?
If I take note of the fact that you are not more a member, you are not a member, right? Yes. It means that I only formally said that I have noticed that you are no more a member and you are not more a member. But then, politics is evolving. I've said a time without number, and I've worked with some of these senior personalities. I've worked closely with some of them. And with much respect, I hear the arrogance with which they talk about the national chairman. But I also know I also know how they used to talk about the national chairman before. But I still have my respect for them, and I will not lose that respect, because if I want to go to the details of what they used to say about the national chairman and what they are saying now, it is night and day. But we are not going to get there. But what I say is that these people, most of whom are my fathers, I keep telling them, it's after a long time, no matter what has happened, even when there is a problem and you want to overstep your bounds, at least when they are talking today even about the national chairman, this is a celebrated icon in Cameroonian politics, in our multipartism, in bringing a democratic Cameroon, even though we are not yet where we are supposed to be. But you know the role that the national chairman has played. You should have some remorse. Turn your tongue in your mouth twice before you talk about the national chairman like that. But when you see the way some of them talk, you begin to wonder what could be the real intentions of these people. But for those that still have good intentions to be part of the SDF, they know that they can appeal the 8-2.
They are only saying that what the national chairman is doing is compromising the initial objectives for which the SDF was created, or the foundation of the SDF.
No, like I said, let me just conclude by saying that they know the ways of appeal, that they can appeal the decision, and they can appeal and even come back to the party, and the convention can decide to admit them as militants. And it's a scenario that I want to see, because I want to see most of them elderly people who they themselves too are not saints. Because when they are accusing the national chairman today, they give you the impression that they are too clean. They themselves too are not saints, but they are our fathers. Nobody is too perfect, but I also want to see them come back, probably during the convention. They have occupied several positions and all that, to say that we are fathers. We want to also join the national chairman as he's saying that he is stepping down. We have to come and accompany this, our democratic icon, this icon for freedom in Cameroon, the founding father of the SDF, the man who declared that I will violate the ban and bear the consequences. It is the reason for which you and I are talking about the SDF today, Mr. Lasha. The time came when, as you are talking about brains, the time came when brains could not help the SDF. They stood, they said, who will launch the SDF? All the brains ran. Justice Nyowakai ran. This man ran. Everybody ran. Chairman Frundi, by the grace of God, stood up and said, I will violate the ban and bear the consequences. Oh no, this is something we, the younger people, we will never forget. And we have to work hard to make sure that that very statement that he made will live to defend his legacy unconditionally. This is what I'm expecting those that have gone to do. By humility, they can come back to accompany the national chairman, step down and say, okay, no matter what has happened, Mr. Chairman, considering what we have done together, what you have done, we have to accompany the next generation take over.
From the way you are talking, many people with what the ruling CPDM party has been doing, they often look at the ruling CPDM party as darkness, and I might want to buy that idea. Can darkness replace darkness? I asked this question, Chi Sidoine, in connection to the fact that the SDF is not different from the ruling CPDM party. The national chairman has been there for over 30 years. You guys are complaining about the national chairman of the CPDM, President Paul Biya, but Frundi is still doing the same thing. Can darkness replace darkness? You say the CPDM is dark, but you're doing the same thing. Politics of personality cult.
No, Mr. Lasha, you know, it's not about personality cult. You know, nations have their path of evolution. Before I get there, you asked a question and you skipped it and went ahead. Some people say that the national chairman is stopping them from doing what they claim that the SDF was born for.
Yes.
We came to, the SDF was created to fight for the interests of Cameroonians, using all possible democratic means. Whether it's on the streets, whether it's within the institutions, we have used them. Whether it's boycotting, whether it's participating, we have used them. And those people who are saying that the national chairman is stopping them, they are not telling the truth. Because the SDF is functioning, what the federalism the SDF is talking about, the SDF is already practicing it. People at the regional level can organize a protest march to protest for whatsoever. And they have no lessons to teach the national chairman with respect to courage to stand for what he wants. The national chairman is the one who inspired courage. So at this age, they do not expect the national chairman to be the one moving and marching. Nobody has ever stopped them. They should go ahead and organize these marches. Nobody has ever criticized the regime, and the national chairman come and say, no, why did you criticize the regime? On the contrary, the national chairman comes to empower you. That is what he did with respect to the COVID gate issue. That is what he did with respect to the CAN gate issue. That is what he has always been doing. And of recent, when the young man Martinez Zogo was murdered, the national chairman was still there on the side of Cameroonians to say that it's unfortunate that at this time they just murder people like this. We have to mobilize. Cameroonians have to mobilize and make sure that justice is rendered. Yes, at all cost. Now, to say whether darkness can replace darkness, every democracy has its path of evolution. You know, what many of you do not mention, you can say, yes, the national chairman has been there for long. What many of you do not mention is that, one, all the political parties of the generation of 1990s, I mean the serious political parties, there has not been any of those political parties that has had a presidential candidate other than the national chairman and founding father. In the SDF, it has happened. The SDF has held more conventions than any other political party, with the national chairman competing with any other person, and delegates are voting. Anyway, maybe the militants of the SDF can sit after considering all what they are hearing from Cameroon and come now and consider that maybe they may want limitation of mandates, maybe they may want this, or maybe even if there are no limitation of mandates, another national chairman can come up. He may not make up to 10-15 years, and delegates feel that they need to elect him. The fact that the SDF has first of all practiced this culture of democracy, of irregular elections, we have also practiced the culture of trying to make sure that these elections are transparent. Why? Because, you know, we talked about the unique ballot paper.
Yes.
We are practicing the unique ballot paper. So we should appreciate all this. And that said, we are not saying that the SDF is made up of totally all saints. Neither am I saying that the CPDM is made up of totally all saints. But the light that we are projecting is that what the CPDM is projecting is not meeting the aspirations of Cameroonians. But what the SDF has, we think that it is light that will better meet the aspirations of Cameroonians. But maybe end here by saying, I once followed on one of your programs on my Media Prime, a senior militant, Honorable Paulinus Dwa, who came here and said that the national chairman threatened every delegate at the convention, and then brought the convention to his division to come and ridicule him. Oh no. People should have at least respect for their age. It's not because you have one or two differences with the national chairman that you have to ridicule yourself like this. The convention has delegates all over the national territory, from district level to region, district level, divisional to region to national level, and you say that the national chairman threatened all these people, replaced all of them, thousands of delegates, Mr. Lasha, so that you end up with a handful of votes. I'm not sure they were up to 5. This is too easy to come and say, and I want to say, as a young man who grew up milking in the SDF, since the SDF is almost part and parcel of my life, I read the manifesto of Honorable Pauline Oduah so many years back. I was still very small, but because of the interest and the love I have for this party, I read that manifesto in 2006, and I was very shocked when I sat in front of my screen and I heard somebody, big people don't discuss persons. People who are ready to do something for a nation, they discuss ideas. But when I followed that program on my major prime of somebody who came and spends all the time talking only about national chairman, but most unfortunately telling unexplainable lies, it's quite unfortunate. But fortunately for us, the SDF is a revolutionary party founded even on the blood of people. No amount of lies and conspiracy theory can destroy the SDF.
Okay. With everything that is happening now, you take into consideration that the SDF used to have more members of parliament, and now we have just 5 of them. We are at the eve of major elections in the country, the senatorial elections, parliamentary elections coming up, the presidential elections as well in 2025, and the NEC has taken this decision. Are you not afraid that the party might not do well in these elections that are coming up?
I am rather convinced, and I will look at your camera.
Who are the people who are still left in the party now?
People who are still left in the party. Yes. I am still in the party.
Of course.
Maybe you talk about brains and you consider us as nothing.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I am still in the party. Many others are still in the party, some of which are not even known, both at home and in the diaspora. People who you don't even see them. And I appreciate so much their effort. I appreciate those my mothers far in Afurawa who are working their farm, but each time you call SDF the shake, they say, oh, our party. Some of those people, they have legitimate grievances against the SDF, and all I have to tell them here is that their grievances are being heard, and we have the duty to do everything to make sure that we innovate. We have the duty to do everything to make sure that where those that were before us made mistakes, we correct them and bring in innovation to preserve this legacy and take it to another level. Now, talking about elections that are coming, I am convinced that the SDF will bounce back very powerfully. Powerfully more than
you are competing in the Northwest with CPDM. And you don't have councillors in the Northwest.
I will come to that. I am convinced that will bounce back powerfully, and I'm telling the young people to be part of that rebound. Don't be late. What is happening now between now and 2025? Secure your place within the ranks of the SDF. It is through the SDF that we will have a federal, democratic, and properly governed Cameroon. That is for the elections of 2025. Now, with respect to the senatorial elections, I want to, first of all, extend my encouragements to my senior comrades who are taking part in that election for their courage, and of course continue to extend the encouragements of the national chairman and the entire family of the SDF in solidarity with them, because we know we are going to win these elections. The Northwest, as you see, is not just any kind of region. The Northwest has set a lot of precedents in this country. The reunification of this country, the people of Northwest played a very determinant role.
So you are talking about a political party that people value so much, the party,
I will explain. The CPDM councillors have voted us in the past, and this time around, the number that will vote us, people will be shocked about it.
So confident.
I am convinced that CPDM councillors know the legitimate demands of the people, which go beyond party lines. I am convinced that CPDM councillors are not happy that they have been given a special status that does not have a content, and they know that the SDF is better place to put a good content. I am convinced that CPDM councillors are not happy that they tell them about decentralization, but when it's not effective, they know that what the SDF is saying, that councillors need emoluments, that if they give a minimum of 1 billion to all councils in Cameroon, they can develop themselves. That is the right thing to do. They know very well that even if the system has promised them better, the system is no disposition to give them better, because they have had all the time to do so, they have not done so. They know very well that the so-called Anglophone crisis that is not having any solution in sight now. They need SDF, especially at this time when we have
what with these few senators? Let's take for example that the the Northwest emerged, or SDF emerged winner in the Northwest, what would these few senators do at the level of the Senate? What would they change?
All right. Let me finish. So these councillors, knowing these realities, they will make the choice of reason. They will vote the SDF in their best interest, in the best interest of the Northwest region, and as a strategic interest at this moment of where we have major transitions in this country. We have to reason beyond party lines, because there will come a time when our party belonging may not be the position that will save us or save posterity. And they are in the face of their responsibility, and I believe that they are going to do the right thing. Now, talking about the number of people and what influence they will have, I think you saw during the so-called Anglophone crisis, especially when some people were saying that Anglophones are rose up, Francophones are not in solidarity, what is happening, the SDF was the only opposition party whose parliamentarians, both so-called Francophones and so-called Anglophones, blocked sessions at the National Assembly. At the time they were blocking sessions at the National Assembly, they were not the majority. They were not even 1/3 of that National Assembly and Senate.
Blocking
they blocked
is one
sessions
thing, but
at the National Assembly.
affecting the change or having the
All right,
ideas
let
go
me
through
explain.
is another one.
They blocked sessions at the National Assembly, went to Bamenda, marched in Boya with the national chairman. That speaks so much, sir. You know, when the international community sees a parliamentarian on the street, especially a whole party like the SDF, which has established credibility, whose contribution to the democratic advancement of Cameroon is established and cannot be questioned by whosoever. It is written on marble. When you see parliamentarians of that party marching on the street with their sachets, it speaks a lot. And that action by the SDF representatives and the national chairman spoke a lot to the international community. Take note that change often starts by one man.
Okay.
Change often starts by one man. And only one MP of the SDF in the Senate or in any other institution can bring meaningful change in this country. The truth is that we will keep fighting for the people, and no matter what the number may be, even in small numbers, we have achieved something. They say small no be sick. We will keep fighting, and at this point in time, the people will see our efforts. We will double them, and by 2025, I can assure you that the SDF will be getting ready to take over this country by then and rule.
Chi Sidoine, young and vibrant member of the frontline opposition political party, the SDF. Thank you so much for being my guest tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lasha. Thank our televiewers for listening, and of course, thank the great family of the SDF once more. Good luck to the senatorial list members of the SDF, and of course, congratulations to the CPDM regional and local councillors of the Northwest, because I know in their hearts they will make the choice of reason by voting the SDF. Once more, the SDF will be bouncing back very powerfully beyond imagination after all this turbulence. God bless the SDF. God bless Cameroon.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.